Hey guys, welcome back to Lions Den Investments and Reviews. My name is Casey. A lot going on today, guys. I want to talk about this GameStop situation over on Wall Street right now because it is really starting to heat up. They're talking about right now there's a hearing in Congress over this, so Congress is getting involved. You got the SEC monitoring volatility. Um, Hedge funds are losing money, and it's crazy. It really is. But I want to talk about it because I think it has a lot to do with you know what's going to happen moving forward with especially like retail investors who are still in traditional markets. Okay, because look, guys, one of the reasons why I got into blockchain in the first place and why I started investing in cryptos is because I wanted to opt out of the system. All right, I knew that just in the short time that I was playing stocks, for about 6 years, and trading and investing in individual companies on traditional markets, I knew that the game was rigged. Okay, I lost money. I always lost money in the stock market unless I was trying to buy up passive income, and even then, uh, you know, it was just like, one company after the next, uh, basically falling in line with the SEC, or if they didn't, they would get fined and your stock would drop, 30, 40%. I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I decided to opt out and I started investing in cryptocurrencies. But I think it's important to acknowledge that kind of thing because they're already talking about that now with the situation here on GameStop. And I think it's funny because really, Wall Street never loses, right? These big institutional investors and billionaires, um, that run the hedge funds over there on Wall Street, these guys never lose. And if they lose, which you're seeing right now, is that they're actually losing at their own game because they're being outweighed on the scale when it comes to the amount of money that's coming into a stock like GameStop here. Right now, currently, I mean, look at this 2-hour chart, guys. We are all over the place as far as price action on GameStop right now. It's very 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 volatile. Right now, we're sitting at about $336. Now, what's really interesting too is they were talking about how there was a short squeeze on the options from the hedge funds, right? And basically everybody was shorting the price on Wall Street, saying that the price of GameStop wasn't going to do much, and it did exactly the opposite because again, the retail investor, the little guy, actually outweighed the scale. Um, and then they're blaming this on Reddit and these trading groups within social media platforms like Reddit for causing this. But it's like, if Wall Street loses, they point the finger and it's like, how dare you? And I just think that's ridiculous because it's like, you know what, if you guys aren't allowed to lose, it's your own game. um, then what's next, right? And a lot of these people I think are really going to wake up to this. Not only the people that were involved with investing in GameStop as retail investors, but the entire stock market. I'm talking everybody, like from millennials to generation below them to the baby boomers. People are going to start paying attention to this, and as you see this thing play out, I think what you're going to see is that um, these guys never lose. The system's rigged. And if Wall Street, if they allow Wall Street to walk away and completely destroy everybody that has been involved with this one stock, I think you're going to see a mass exodus here in the not too distant future, a mass exodus of investors coming out of the stock market, and they're just going to opt out. They're just going to say, the hell with it, I'm done. I'm not playing your game anymore. I'm moving into you know something like blockchain, which is decentralized, where I don't have to deal with this because the thing is, guys, they don't control decentralized cryptocurrencies. They never have. They never will. They never can. The only way they can do that is if they create their own global stable coins and put them on a ledger and then say, hey, this is the new system. But you're always going to have a choice moving forward what you want to get into as far as cryptos, and they cannot control that. Even if they try to shut it down and tell you can't use it, guess what? The rest of the world's going to use it, and if you want, you can own your own coins. You just pull them off the exchange and you put them in storage until someday, somebody comes along and changes the narrative when it comes to blockchain. But this technology is too important for them to let it go by the wayside, because if they do that, America becomes a third world country. All right, and the major powers like China, Russia, and Iran, and all these other countries that are using blockchain, guess what? They step up and take our place. You think they're going to allow that? No. So they're going to be forced into blockchain. I think you're going to start seeing a lot more people from this GameStop situation, which are going to move out of it, move out of traditional stocks and just say the hell with it, I'm done. But as of yesterday, guys, here's a few different articles. I'll leave them in the description below so you can read them for your own benefit, because I'm not going to go over these and take up too much of your time. But some of these hedge funds, one of them being Melvin Capital, has closed GameStop position. Yesterday, Stephen Cohen, okay, this guy's a hedge fund titan, Stephen Cohen and Dan Sunderheim, lose big in GameStop short squeeze frenzy. Okay, um, yeah, this is awesome. I mean, it really is, just to see some of these guys actually lose their own game, and like they're saying here, it's a humbling turnaround for the hedge fund titans who in 2020 staged a comeback by pouncing on wild markets caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, dude. Yeah, look, here's the other thing. These guys have made so much flipping money while the rest of us have been suffering, okay, off of this crisis, and now here they are getting their butts handed to them by retail investors who just said we've had enough. And they're saying, but the crisis here has helped push thousands, if not millions, of retail traders into the U.S. stock market, creating a new force that for now the professionals seem powerless to combat. Right? Oh, believe me, they had the power to combat this. And if you paid attention yesterday, Robinhood and some of these other exchanges, what they were doing was halting trading on GameStop. Okay, and that created a lot of uncertainty and high emotions in the market from retail investors, because people are like, wait, they can't do that? Well, of course they can. It's their game. All right, this is the game you play when you get into the stock market and you start playing a wealthy man's game. Uh, they have complete control over that system. It's centralized, and this is what I keep telling people is like, hey, if you want to play their game, get ready, because you're playing in a centralized network where they have complete control over it. They can take the exchanges down, they can do whatever the hell they want, and you have no say in it. So, again, another reason to look into blockchain technology and decentralized networks, because they cannot do that. Okay. Here's the other article I was going to show you. Yeah, give me a second here. I got to continue the site. This CNBC, I tell you what, their websites are horrible sometimes. Uh, the SEC is reviewing volatility amid the GameStop frenzy, vows to protect retail investors. Okay, um, so they're reviewing volatility here in the markets, guys. If the SEC is doing that, there's some big stuff going on behind closed doors that's got them spooked. Okay, and that was another thing that I was talking about with a friend of mine the other day, and I was like, man, you know, if they don't get this under control by the end of the day, you're going to see a lot more hedge funds bleeding out and losing a ton of cash, and you're going to see other banks, other hedge funds having to come in and bail out their little Wall Street buddies. And in a time like this, when you're going through a pandemic, money velocity is at damn near zero anyways, because they're shutting the economy down. A lot of these other companies are going to be in a situation much like the banks were in 2008. If they come in and try to step in and bail them out, they're going to have to look at their balance books, their financial statements, and go, can we even take on this toxic debt, and bail them out? Uh, because I think what you'll end up seeing is that you get somewhat of a domino effect that takes place. So I don't know what's going to happen with this and how many hedge funds are going under at this very moment or bleeding out, because it looks like GameStop's price just keeps going up. A lot of people were talking about how they were like, man, watch GameStop, because that price gets smashed down today, and they get it down to their expiration date price on those short option contracts from the hedge funds, then you know for 100% this thing is rigged. Uh, Either way, if it's not rigged or if it is, I think what you're going to see is economic, stock market, financial turmoil moving forward from this event. Okay, I'm calling this event kind of like a monumental, historical, you know, trigger point, so to speak, like a black swan type event. Okay, it's so big that right now, as of Sunday, they're talking about doing a reoccupy Wall Street. Okay, and then having Ted Cruz, who is a politician, along with Trump supporters, go ahead and lead that movement. All right, reoccupy Wall Street, basically saying we've had enough of this corruption with the big banks. You know, being able to shut down an exchange or halt trading on a certain stock because they're losing money. That's not a fair market. And I've been saying this for a few years now, especially on this channel over the past 6 months. I've been like, hey, we're living in a la la land fake world here in the stock market. One last thing I want to show you real quick though here is the GameStop situation. This is an interview that took place yesterday, and I just want you to listen to what this guy has to say.
Steve Weiss, you've seen a lot of markets. You've seen a lot of crazy things within crazy markets. I'm wondering how you're viewing this, and what do you think investors should be thinking about as they watch it with us?
Well, I'm thinking that this GameStop situation is the craziest I think I've ever seen. Usually, you have a short squeeze and it goes up, but this one keeps going. So this really speaks to the changing demographics of investors in the market. And what I mean by that is the people that really true investors never heard of Reddit a few years ago. Sure, it's been around, we know it, but for that to drive a short squeeze in a company that's so fundamentally flawed, as you pointed, 100% last week, 50% today, there's no there. So that's why I have to be careful. But I do not think that this is a manifestation of a bubble market. I think it's a manifestation of bubble stocks, ones you want to stay away from. So you want to stay with fundamentals. But we'll see this play out over and over again with up.
You know, he talks about fundamentals here, right? Guys, that's why I stick with fundamentals on this channel, and not only cover technical analysis with you, but I cover fundamentals on stuff, because I'm telling you, if you miss those fundamentals as an investor, it can seriously hurt you. And I have been hurt before missing the fundamentals in the stock market. And that's why I went over to cryptos, because cryptos, you know, with specific projects, they're being treated like a currency. Okay, and currencies, you really don't, as long as they're not controlled by a central authority or a central body, you don't have to pay attention to all this nonsense when it comes to the old corporate structure, right? Management doing this, management doing that, massive layoffs, you know, or taking on too much debt to try to grow and expand their company. You don't have to worry about any of that if you're investing in something like, I don't know, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Digibyte, because all those have been deemed as currencies so far by the SEC, and they're not controlled by one central authority. So the price, you know, when it comes to investing, you don't have to worry about the fundamentals as much as, say, you would here with something like GameStop, okay? Because there's lots you can miss with this. So I like how he says that, you know, sticking with the fundamentals. But you know, this guy here is even having a hard time understanding that the world's changing around him. Okay, everything's digital, and people in large numbers are more powerful than even, you know, your wealthiest bankers on Wall Street. So it's kind of a big slap in the face for these guys. But let's continue on here and hear what he has to say.
Others, because now they've proven successful, and always the greater fool theory, the greater fool is going to be the last one to cover. A lot will have made money along the way, but some will lose it. But you'll see this roll through the market in the heavily shorted stocks. It's already begun. But again, that's not an example of a market that's overvalued. I'm more concerned with SPACs, frankly, because it seems like.
All right, he's saying don't be concerned. Don't be concerned with with overvaluations. I call BS on that. I explained it yesterday and the day before. on overvaluation of stocks right now. It's extremely overvalued. Don't let this guy fool you, okay? Um, but that brings me to another part. He starts talking about SPACs, right? If you don't know what a SPAC is, guys, it's a special purpose acquisition company, okay? They had been talking about this with XRP for a little bit, and maybe treating XRP as a SPAC moving forward after that lawsuit. Whenever that plays out, we don't know what they're going to do with it, but they were talking about Ripple Labs, the actual company, being treated kind of like a special purpose acquisition company. And if you look at SPACs are basically just hedge funds, right? They're venture capitalist ventures where they can raise money and then acquire another company through raising money on the stock market. So that's what he's talking about with SPACs there. So let me back it up a little bit, and I'll go ahead and play this.
Value. I'm more concerned with SPACs, frankly, because it seems like there's 10 new a day. And when you think about the IPO calendar, there haven't been that many IPOs, quality IPOs that come out. So to me, 80%, just to throw out a number, of the SPACs that we've seen will either go belly up or will just be flagging stocks, just bouncing along the bottom.
Yeah.
But I think the market's still got legs to it.
But look,
I'm not worried about the market overall.
maybe looking at one thing doesn't do it justice, but A plus B can equal something, right? A crazy SPAC market plus some of this speculation, short squeeze, however you want to characterize it, can add up to something that is making people, Pete, fairly uneasy about, certainly parts of this market, maybe not the entire market. Steve makes very good points there. A lot of this is being done through options too. I'm wondering what you're seeing for, these sort of forensic dives that you do within the options market and what you're thinking.
All right, so we're not going to go into the options stuff. That pretty much wrapped up what I was wanting to show you there. But this guy's saying, one plus one could equal two, or it could equal something else, and we're not seeing that. And that's kind of what I'm referring to at the beginning of this video, was that I keep talking about this whole economic stock market thing being a belief system, right? Well, what happens when people lose belief in the stock market? When they start losing belief in that they're playing a fair game, and they realize the whole freaking thing's rigged, much worse than they thought it was. This goes up there on par with like 2008, right, or the 1987 crash, and you know if you continually start getting wiped out time and time and time again, you cannot get ahead as an investor on a U.S. stock market. What do you do then, right? The belief system goes down the toilet, and there goes your stock market. Okay. Now I think that's why you're getting the SEC watching the volatility right now, because they're like, whoa, this could turn into something big. Like it could really be a can of worms that comes out and just completely devastates everything. And what they're talking about is that belief system, you know, and what it is that you're actually investing in, and knowing that you don't have any control over it whatsoever. This is why I don't play 401ks. Those are death traps, in my opinion. You want to be broke your entire life, go ahead and invest in your 401k. Just my opinion, not investor's advice, but it is what it is. I mean, and you're starting to see it here, as clear as day. But that brings me to the last point, which is what is this stock here, guys? Because I wanna switch to Theta, right? And I want to shed some light and perspective on Theta, and tie it into GameStop for a minute. Because GameStop, what does GameStop do? They sell video games, right? Their audience is video gamers, and if you look at these investment groups, that are part of these Reddit chat forums and stuff, I would, and this is just a speculation, pure speculative guess here, but I would imagine that a ton of these people that are buying into this GameStop stock, these are people that have been around and picking up games at GameStop for probably quite a while. I mean, GameStop's been around, man, since I was, a teenager, and before that, and I was going in there and buying video games back in the day. And some of these people haven't stopped doing that over the years. What I'm trying to say is that entire audience, that's who you're seeing right here bet against the hedge funds. Not to mention you got some traders in there too doing their own thing that have been much more seasoned over the years than some of these other people. But some of these people, jumping in and buying GameStop right now, I can tell you, that's your gamers right there, and that just shows you the sheer number of people that are jumping on board in this gaming industry, and that would be your audience for Theta too, guys. So if they get fed up with this traditional stock market and they come over into cryptos, what do you think some of these people are going to start looking? They're going to look at projects like Theta, because Theta, guys, like I've said before, it's one of the greatest projects I think I've run across so far on blockchain. You got people like Google, uh, Samsung is partnered with them. You got Google and Samsung both running validator nodes, confirming transactions for them. They're doing stuff with the World Poker Tour. They just launched an announcement. Actually, I think it was like last night, and you can start staking T Fuel, which is the secondary protocol, uh, native currency basically to Theta. All right, so look into Theta if you haven't. You can go to my website, academyofcrypto.com. Um, I direct you directly over to their white paper and website from there if you want, or you can just go to thetatoken.org. But check them out, guys, because I think you're going to start seeing, like I said, a mass exodus from the stock market and a paradigm shift into a new stock market moving forward. And I think honestly, it doesn't matter at this point how it plays out. You're really starting to see the corruption come out, and in this rigged system, people are starting to wake up, and it's a good thing. I think we need it. But with that said, guys, remember, have no fear. Buy the dips when these cryptos go down. Right now, we're getting a good pump in Bitcoin. At one point, we were back up to about 37, 38,000. Right now, we're sitting at about 35.7. And I'm watching Bitcoin and Ethereum to see what they do, because if you go back and you watch yesterday's video, I did some technical analysis on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I tell you where I think they're getting ready to go. So um, again, guys, with that said, have a great weekend, and fear nothing, my friends. I will talk to you later.